Hello all, welcome to video 11 of genai using langchain and databricks playlist. In the last video, in video 10, we have seen the difference between open source and closed source models. Okay, we have seen how to use LLMs and chat models like closed source and open source both. Okay, as language models, right? Now we will see how we can work with embedding models. Okay, embedding models basically they are used to convert the text to vector. Okay, and vector is, I think I have already explained, vector is required when you are working with semantic search, right? Especially in RAG application, right? Retrieval augmented generated applications, we need these embedding models to a greater extent, right? So these models are used to convert the text to vector. Okay, and let's see first embedding models. Simple, right? These models are used to convert text to vector. Okay, mostly used in RAG applications, right? To find similarity, or to work on similarity search, to work on similarity search, right? Now we will see what are the embedding models in OpenAI. Embedding models in OpenAI, right? They are available in almost all the vendors, all the GenAI vendors, right? OpenAI is the one. Then we have Google Gemini, we have Anthropic, right? We have lot more. Okay. Now, if I go to models, okay, and then it was, I think, backside also vector embeddings. See, right? We have text embedding 3 small, text embedding 3 large, right? What are embeddings? If we see OpenAI's text embedding measure the relatedness of strings, right? And they're commonly used in search, right? Semantic search, clustering, where text strings are grouped by similarity, used for recommendations, anomaly detection, diversity measurements, classifications, etc. Right? So what I'll do, I'll give you a link to this document, right? You can go through that. You can get, in detail understanding. I'm also going to give you, good understanding in this video, right? So let me just paste the link here, right? And you can continue looking at the documentation. Now, what we will do, we will first see how to use an embedding models, present as part of open source in Databricks, right? The free, right? So what I have done, the first thing I have done is I have ran the installations. Okay. Now we will create the embedding for, let's say, one of the user query. Okay. Um, so let's start from importing from Databricks, from Databricks underscore langchain, Databricks underscore langchain import. Earlier we were importing chat Databricks. Now we will import Databricks embeddings. Databricks embeddings, right? And embedding model to use, right? Equals to Databricks embeddings. Databricks embeddings. Okay. And here we specify endpoint, the model name, right? Which is Databricks, let's say BGE. It is large en, right? This is the model, embedding model we are going to use, right? Let me give some user query. User query equals to, we can give anything. I love to record, let's say, YouTube videos, right? And embedding generated equals to embedding model to use. This model we will use, embedding model to use dot embed query. There is something called embed query and embed documents. What is embed document? We'll see, right? First is embed query, right? And what I'll do, print embeddings generated, right? Let me run this. Okay, see. You can see it has generated embeddings. Now, these embeddings are by default generated in how many dimensions? Let's see. Okay, what I'll do, we have embeddings generated already, right? Let's not hit the model again. What I'll do, print length of these embeddings, right? So let's see, it is 1024. So by default, it has generated the embeddings, right, in 124 dimensions by default, right? Now, what we'll have to do, this is with the open source model, right? We have used Databricks embeddings, right? Now, what we will do, we will see how to work with embedding models using OpenAI, right? For that, you will need to place your OpenAI API key in the installations, right? This we have already covered. So place your OpenAI API key in the installations, and we will see how to work with embedding models using OpenAI. Okay. Now let me copy the same code. Okay, we will just do changes to this code so that we will learn comparatively, right? So here what I have done, first thing, from Databricks langchain, I have imported Databricks embeddings, right? Here, instead of Databricks langchain, I'll have to, from langchain underscore OpenAI, import OpenAI embeddings. OpenAI embeddings, right? Now, embedding model to use, what I have to do? I have to use OpenAI embeddings. OpenAI embeddings. Okay. First, I'll have to place the API key, right? This is the API key I have to use, right? I have named this as capital OpenAI API key and placed in my installations, right? And installations I have already ran before, you know, run before starting the video, or after we start the video, so that whatever I have in installations, whatever variables and installations will be part of this notebook, right? And here what I have to do, I have to specify model, right? So which model we are going to use? Definitely this is paid, so we will be using some small model. So there is something called text embedding 3 small, right? So that's all. This is the change we have done. Everything else is going to be same. So what I am doing, embedded generated, let me put it as OpenAI, right? OpenAI. Okay. And let me run this now. Okay. So see, it has also generated the vectors for this query, right? For this user query. Now let's see what is the default dimension, right? What is the default dimensions it has generated that. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this. Okay. Okay. Then print length of this OpenAI embeddings. Okay. Let's see. It is 1536. By default, it has generated in 1536, right? So basically, these dimensions, right, we can specify this parameter, right? Here, while it is one of the extra parameters what we have learned, right, previously. You can specify it here. Let's say any 128, 256, whatever it is, right? You can specify that here. Okay. And you can get the I would say vectors generated accordingly, right? Now the thing is, what will be the difference when I specify more dimensions and when I specify less dimensions? Okay. Basically, let's say if more dimensions, right? If I want the output in more dimensions, the cost will be higher. Cost will be higher, the hitting cost, right? And the contextual meaning, right? Contextual meaning will be more accurate. Contextual meaning will be more accurate, right? Less dimensions, less dimensions, lower costs, and the less accurate contextual meaning, right? So we have to do this trade off, right? While specifying dimensions, we have to do this trade off. Let's say we will specify somewhere in the medium, right? Medium range, where we will not incur the more cost, okay, and we will not miss the contextual meaning also of the text, right? Now, this code has generated the embedding for single query, for single line, right? This is the single line. I love to record YouTube videos, okay? Now we will see how to generate the embedding of multiple queries, right? Generate the embedding of a document, right? Here we have used embed query, right? The in next to generate the embeddings for document, what we will do, we will use embed documents, right? So let me do one thing. Let me use this code as it is. I'll just get, or let me try if this is the parameter. I don't know if this parameter has changed in the recently, right? It keeps changing a lot. I mean, if I practice, if I do something, let's say day before yesterday, or 7 to 8 days back, and today most of the things gets updated, so that happens, should be fine, right? Now what I have to do, Databricks langchain import. Let me do it with Databricks embedding. Let me do it with uh, the free, right? Okay, okay. Databricks langchain import Databricks embeddings, right? Import this endpoint is going to be the same. Now what I'll do, I'll create one document, right? A document to embed, okay. And what I'll do, maybe let me give the name Ganesh Kudale, right? Uh, anything. Himesh Reshmiya, right? Any cricketer, let's say Mahendra Singh Dhoni, right? For Mumbai fans, let me give Rohit Sharma, right? Let's do, yeah. Let's put all cricketer names here. Virat Kohli. For Punjab, let me put Shreyas Iyer, right? That's okay, and you can put whatever you want. Okay, so this is kind of a list, or this is kind of a document that we are trying to create embeddings for, right? So what I'll do, embedding generated, embedding model is to use, instead of embed query, I'll use embed documents, right? And let me put this document here, documents to embed, right? Embedding generated, let me put here doc, right? A document, okay? And let me run this now, okay? See, it has printed. Now you see list inside list, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items inside this document, right? We will see the length of, first we will see the length of this entire document, okay? So let me copy this embedding generated doc. I think it should be 1024 by default. Let's see. Print length of the first, I would say it is 4, okay? And it is 4 because it has 4 items, right? And now what I'll do, print length of embedding docs. Let me see the first one, right? The first one, what is the length of the first item, right? 1024 by default. Perfect, that is correct. By default it is generating the vectors, right, dimensions in 1024 dimension, right? So this is how we work. We create embeddings, right? We create embeddings for one query, right? Generally we end up creating embeddings for a document, right? Because we have PDFs, we have you know what n number of documents where we need to create the PDF. For example, I think for example, I have this PySpark notes, right? PySpark series, I have this PySpark notes, okay? I'm creating embeddings for, let's say, each of my session, right? So I have, let's say, 62 sessions, 62 sessions in PySpark series, right? 62 sessions in PySpark series. So what I'll do, I'll create 62 embeddings if I have to develop a RAG application, okay? I'll store in vector store, right? What is vector store? it just allows to store, there are many properties of vector store. We are going to learn that in upcoming sessions, but as of now, remember, it will allow us to store vectors, it will allow us to store embeddings, right? And then I'll put some question, let's say, explain me or retrieve three sessions where when otherwise is discussed, right? So what it will do, it will create the embedding. What it will do, next step, vector for user query, right? Then similarity search with 62 vectors, right, with the user query, and it will retrieve three most or highly matching documents, right? And we'll see, we will do a small exercise. We'll create a small rag application also, right, after this. But this is how the flow of rag happens, right? Whatever documents you have, you embed those, you create vectors for those, you store those in vector search, right, vector store. Then you pass on user query, you create the embedding also for user query, right? And then you do a similarity search, or you find the distance. Wherever distance is less, that is highly matching. Wherever similarity score is more, that is highly matching, right? That's how we work. Okay. And this is the reason these vectors are important, right? To find the similarity search, to find the distance, we need vectors, right? Pure mathematics. Okay, fine. That's all I think for this video. I wanted to give you an introduction how we can start working with embedding models, how we can embed the query, a single line, or let's say 2-3 line query, or how we can embed the document itself. Now here we have assignment for learners. What I want you to do is, you generate the generate the document embeddings generate the document embeddings using any paid model we have already generated for a user query. You try generating for a document, right, by specifying let's say, specifying the dimension as 128, right? and and share the code, and your experience in in comment section, right? Comment section, right? The the spellings can be here and there, sorry, I'm typing a little fast right? But yes, this is the assignment for you. Okay, and just do it, it would be a fun for you, right? I've given you the extra addition. You have to come up with the vector having 128 dimensions, right? Fine, that's all for this video. I hope you are enjoying this series. Okay, it is important to learn generative AI, especially using langchain in today's era, right? And it is fun learning. Basically, it's not something that we should get frustrated of, should, right, someone should force us to learn. No, it is fun, and we should continue learning for betterment, for growth opportunities, right? And for our satisfaction also, right? Fine, that's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.